Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, crazy babies, to another episode of Jam Sessions, a Cosmic Creation Station production. Which way is it? There you go. Welcome back, and I hope you enjoy this next author. If you guys enjoy what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what we're doing, feel free to contribute to our initiative. The information will be in this post just above this video. We appreciate any contributions and support, and not only growing our platform, but using this platform to help others grow their platform as well. It's part of a small community of people who are looking to pave their way through creativity to a better life and to share their creativity with the world. So without further ado, then enjoy this next author. Thank you so much for being with us today. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, crazy babies, to another episode of Jam Sessions. We have with us today Marie Moldovan. She's been on Jam Sessions before, but she is back with a whole new project. Welcome, Miss Marie Moldovan. How are you?
I am wonderful, thank you. But you're not just on with me. I have my fur babies around. So if you hear some noise, please be patient because, sometimes they like to be heard too.
Yes, we're fur friendly, so no worries. If they have some input, we're all ears. So now this is going to be a fun interview because this is your debut children's book, is it not?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
Miss Sally Ann.
Miss Sally Ann by Marie Moldovan. Check it out. There it is. Beautiful cover. So let's get right to it. Tell us about Miss Sally Ann, about the title specifically. What brought that about?
Well, Miss Sally Ann is basically an autobiographical children's book. I did use some creative liberty, so it's not 100. I did, stretch some things and do your typical Hollywood thing, make it a little more exciting. But the title, Miss Sally Ann, is a nickname I was given as a child because I come from a poor family. Like they did their best, but I wore hand-me-downs. Sometimes I had, clothes that were custom made for me and different things. So other kids called me Miss Sally Ann. In Canada, we have this store called, what is it? That's basically coined the Sally Ann. So it's like used clothing and things like that.
Okay, so that makes sense. So because it's a used clothing store, maybe hand-me-down type store, they call it the Sally Ann store, and by proxy called you Miss Sally Ann because of your hand-me-downs.
Yeah,
well,
basically,
you know what?
The store's name is actually called Salvation Army, but the nickname is the Sally Ann.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have the Salvation Army here in the States too. So you guys call it the Sally Ann store. Very interesting. Well, what I love is that you've taken that nickname and made it a children's book later on in your adult life. And there's nothing better than taking something negative and giving it a positive spin. Now, you held the book up a moment ago. That was a beautiful cover. What is that art? What inspired it? And what's the meaning behind it? Can we see that again?
Well, basically what inspired the art is because a lot of my stuff would have patches, patchwork. There was a time that I was kicked out of class for having holes in my socks and holes in my knees because this teacher, I wrote a poem about her at some point in time. And the poem is called, I think it's called Idiot, but I called the teacher Miss Priss because she used to call me names and stuff like that. But she literally kicked me out of class, made me sit in the hallway in a timeout because I kept showing up to school with holes in my socks and holes in my pants, like I could help it, right? I mean, but even if my family wasn't poor, I'm a child, or I was a child, right? I mean, what child doesn't tear their brand new pants or puts holes in their socks? I mean, children are relentless, especially if they play. And I was the kind of child that would take my shoes off and run around on the playground with my socks. So,
right.
But yeah, so so I ended up with a lot of patches. Sometimes my mom and grandma would patch up my stuff. And so that's what inspired this.
Yeah, it's like a patchwork quilt. I love that.
Yes, and the figure on the front is actually a representation of me. So what I feel I look like. I do have some black and white versions of the image in here.
Oh, beautiful. And
Right. My
this now
daughter's.
you're the illustrator as well as the author, correct?
That is correct. I am the illustrator and author.
Oh, very nice. Now these are in black and white. It almost gives me the feel of a coloring book. Is it interactive in that way?
Actually, it is. See, my daughter and I discussed the book, the direction of the book, and we decided number one, we wanted to go black and white. A black and white would be a good thing to go forward with because it would allow someone, like a child, to color themselves in. So even if I'm portrayed in, if I portray myself as a female passing in the coloring book, I mean, it can be colored in any way or direction. And the child can, basically color in the pages, color themselves in, and be part of the story as well.
That's awesome. We always got in trouble for doing things like that as a kid, writing on the walls or coloring in your books. But now they have full on permission to not only enjoy the story, but to color it and personalize it and be creative and have fun with it and not get in trouble because that's what it's
Right.
for.
And like I said, even though the character is female passing, because I am female passing, even though the character is female passing and doesn't have the long hair, I don't think that anybody should be confined to that role. So whether you're male passing and you like to wear dresses and have long hair, have at it. I mean, I don't think that we should be restricted to anything. I think that's one thing I had as one problem I had as a child. I didn't like wearing dresses.
Right.
As a child,
And I kind of want to. I mean, count your days. You're going to see Joe in a muumuu at some
oh
point.
yeah, well, maybe
Happen.
a princess dress. I'd like to see Joe in a princess dress. But as a child, my mom would have preferred I dressed more like a little girl, but I preferred
More
to
feminine.
dress up like a tomboy. I've always been a tomboy. I'm very masculine. I identify with more of that aspect of myself, and I felt as a child that I would want to wear something, and and I didn't see anything wrong with it. It was something I felt more comfortable with, but my family, say my mom, would try to like direct me into another direction. She felt that I had to appear more feminine, and unfortunately, she never really did get her wish. I did kind of, explore the makeup and the more feminine aspects of my personality and when in my 20s, but not so much later on. I feel more comfortable with just embracing who I am, as I am, and that's always changing. That's one thing about us as children. I don't think that we should be defined when we were children. I don't think we should be defined as one thing or the other. I think that we should be allowed to explore and ever be and allowed to, fully change throughout our entire life because
Right.
I mean, identity is forever changing as we grow and experience life and are allowed to explore. We find that we like different things and we want to try different things. And I don't think that we should be confined to like just one kind of stereotype. I think we should just be allowed to embrace that and discover who we truly are. I feel that kind of we're swayed away from actually self-discovery, because like for example me when I was growing up, there's kind of like these ideas of what a female passing individual should do and look like and how they should participate. And my mom had these ideas that I should play with dolls and study hard and become a doctor, but I had these ideas that I wanted to help my grandpa fix cars and I wanted to build things. So I was, very passionate about things that she wasn't passionate about. And it became very difficult because I wanted to build stuff, and my grandfather had to secretly teach me how to build things and like basically kind of go behind my mother's back and show me how to do all the things that I wasn't allowed to do. And I'm really grateful for my grandfather for that because I was able to learn a lot of things. And then I was grateful for my grandmother because she taught me the other things like how to sew, how to create bake. And then my mom, she was an artist, but I feel that if we allow our children to explore different things, then we allow our children to become more confident, creative, and we don't restrict their capacity to grow. I mean, I ended up learning everything anyways. Like I did go to school and I studied medicine and I did various different things, but I feel that if I would have been allowed to go the direction that I naturally was drawn to, then things would have been differently for me. And so I try that as a parent with my children, mostly my youngest. And I mean, you're always going to get like the child saying, they would have liked you to improve in different directions, and I'm open with that, like those kind of discussions with my child's. But I still feel that if you're open to allowing them to explore and to kind of like try different things and not try to place them into a box, then you're allowing them to basically embrace their identity or multiple identities, because they're always going to change throughout their lifetime.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, I barely have enough energy and time in the day to commit to finding out and discovering who I am and then fully being that person, much less taking an ounce of that energy or time and directing it towards worrying about how another person identifies. I think people they want to, there's the idea that gender confusion or gender discovery or gender fluidity is a mental health problem. But I think the mental health problem is someone thinking that they're born onto this planet to have an opinion about how another person identifies in their life cycle, in their life experience. I think that's just wild. So I love the idea of promoting that. We're not here to box people in. We're here to create a safe environment for them to tell the world who they are and show the world what they bring to the human collective. So I think you're right.
There
And a
was
lot,
actually, sorry, I don't mean to.
yeah,
There was
okay.
actually a study done. So there was a study done with a group of different children, because this organization, I can't remember the name, they were looking for the next set of geniuses. And so they had this theory that every child has the capacity potential to be a genius. And so they went out and they studied a select group of children, and they found that when they did all their tests on them, every single child scored in the genius level. But then as they followed the children's life and then entry into school and stuff like that, they found that their capacity, it declined
Mhm.
as life went on, and they concluded that some of that decline was due to, basically forcing the child to fit into certain scenarios. Other factors like, oh no, you can't do that because of, certain other
It's
factors,
binding.
so basically they bound the children.
Yeah,
And
by social binding and
yeah.
environmental binding. Absolutely. I mean, those things are restrictive. If you ever seen, they have molds you can buy, for example. They have molds you can buy for like your fruits, your squashes, and your watermelons. And you put the tiny watermelon when it's little in this like mold, and they have skulls or they have square molds. And then as the watermelon grows and grows and grows, it becomes the mold of the thing that it's restricted to. So it doesn't grow naturally into the natural shape of a watermelon. It grows restricted to whatever shape it is that you've put it into the mold. And that's what I think society does, and the world does, is it puts you in this mold, and rather than growing fully into your greatest potential, you only grow to the capacity that you're allowed to, and that's stunting your growth and
That's
dumbs us down, as you
it
said.
does,
The
it
IQ that's low.
does.
Well, with that being said, what would you say is the moral of the story of Miss Sally Ann, and what do you hope people take away from that?
Well, Miss Sally Ann is basically a story about a girl who grew up in poverty, whose family taught her how to create, using the things that are around, basically how to create a teddy bear out of a rice bag. Um, and she was teased, and then she used kindness and basically it was still kind to the people that she spoke up and informed her bullies, this is what the problem is. I don't appreciate this kind of thing. Of course, she spoke up through her imaginary friend who appears in the book, as it almost appears as though it is a real person, another class member. She spoke to the other children and basically said, hey, this is not cool. I would like to be your friend. Can we learn to get along? We're always going to have differences. There's always going to be something different about us, right? We're
Mm.
all going to have differences, and that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes everything fun. What we with the challenge it the exciting part about those differences is that we can have a lot of fun with them. We can learn to appreciate other people for who they are, and embrace them and be friends, I
That
guess.
I think that's beautiful because I think it's really important. We focus a lot on telling the bully that bullying is wrong and reprimanding the bully. But I think it's important also to empower the person that is bullied um, to tell stories like this that help give them a voice, and not just a voice to speak out in anger or to bully back, but to give them a creative way and a wholesome way of responding to that situation. Like you said, letting them know, look, I'm not your enemy. I want to be your friend, and we can. I mean, kids aren't naturally they're not naturally bullies in that way, and something has created that scenario. So I think
That's right.
it's very powerful for Miss Sally Ann to have been able to speak out and recognize what the problem was, and then bring people together even when she was the victim.
Statistically, a bully is the result of abuse. Like, basically, a bully is a child who has been teased, abused, or feels insecure a lot of times, statistically, the majority of the time. And so, you'll have this child who's having a lot of troubles at home, is being put down by their parents, made to feel really inferior, and then they take that and lash out on another person. I'm not saying that is okay. I think that we need systems in place to properly address those things. But that further, um, I don't think that punishment is the answer here. I
Right.
think education is the answer here. And I am in a unique place where I had an experience. I experienced a lot of things as a child, and I can talk about it. I can write about it, and I can put it out there. And through my experience, I can offer education because I believe in reform. So I believe the way forward is through education. The more material, the more help, the more support that is out there, the more likely that we are able to improve as a society. Jails, things like that don't really work. I mean, you see individuals go in and out. It's kind of like on a rotation cycle,
Mhm.
and it's like basically legal slavery, in my opinion. But it doesn't really help. You get a repeat offender, they commit a crime, go back in, commit a crime, go back in, commit a crime, go back in. They continuously repeat that same pattern. And if that's continuously happening, that means there's something wrong there. That means that we don't have something in place to properly assist that person. It's like, that just that one pivotal piece to properly assist that person to maybe adjust their path.
Right.
And I feel that education and support, like mental health, we don't really pay much attention to mental health. And I think that's important. I mean, we're a
Right.
society of very damaged people. Lots of people are depressed, extremely stressed. Many people are, living from paycheck to paycheck. Some people are like one paycheck away from losing their homes. I mean, we've got all kinds of scenarios that would lead a person to commit a crime that they would have normally commit. If we work together to put into place better systems, be more supportive as a society, offer education, work on the mental health aspects, even various different things, then we can move forward. Punishment doesn't always work. Punishment is a short-term solution.
Right.
Um,
It's immediate gratification. It really just serves to satisfy the desire for vengeance. The
well,
tit for
it's
tat.
It's like if you put a shock collar on the dog. The shock collar might work for that period of time because the dog is, that it hurts. They don't want to feel that response. But then it won't work. There will come a time where it won't work because the
Right.
dog didn't actually learn anything from that.
Well,
They were
yeah.
just basically intimidated into behaving a certain way, and then that behavior so you don't get the positive result out of it in the long term.
Right. Exactly. Well, now, what was your favorite part? What would you say in creating Miss Sally Ann? was maybe your favorite part as the author or even the illustrator in creating this project?
Um, I suppose my favorite part about this entire thing was being able to go back and spend time with myself. Like in the story, I gave myself what I needed. One thing is, I don't think I had a lot of support at that time. Yes, I did have a really, my grandparents were great and everything like that, but I feel that I was alone for a majority of things. So I was able to go back and be there for myself. And that's where the imaginary friend comes in. So there's the one character that comes out into the hallway and says to Miss Sally Ann, you know, you're a wonderful person and I want to be your friend and stuff like that. And I portray that person as a fellow classmate, but it's actually me going back in time
Oh,
being with me. And so it is another version of me. That's why I say the imaginary friend, because it's me going back in time supporting myself.
right. So there's some time travel aspect to this. So the
Time
current
travel, but I mean also like child you know, healing some of the inner child wounds, providing
absolutely.
myself with some things that I needed.
Well, when we think of all the different sci-fi versions or aspects or ideas of what time travel is, but I think quite literally what you just described is actual real life time travel. If you, as the current adult, can through this creative process travel back to yourself and then create a story where the current you is present in that past story to the past you, and then creating a current project, you've literally time traveled through this process.
Well,
I
for
mean,
the mind, you most definitely have,
mhm.
because the mind, I mean, you can walk your brain through a scenario and
Oh yeah.
your mind will think it's actually happened.
Hmm.
So if you were to walk yourself through a scenario where you go back and you spend time with yourself, for your brain, that actually happened. It
Right.
doesn't know the
Does
difference.
it differentiate
Yeah,
between
I mean, and in many senses, I mean, the only thing that is truly linear is the way we
perceive?
portray
Yeah,
time.
exactly. It is. I've come to understand it more at this point, and maybe as we're ever evolving, I'll at some point see it from another perspective. But I'm currently at a place where it's like a starburst. Like if you're the center of that experience, you can go out from that center point in almost infinite bursts and then return with that collected information, with that collective experience. And each time you return to that center, you return with almost a more whole than the last moment version of that experience. So it's almost like you know, a big bang to me. That's how I see time, not linear anymore.
Well,
Ever.
not only that, when you do things like that, you're actually you're healing your family.
Mm.
So we carry the ghosts of our ancestors and everybody there. Like if you think of microchimeric cells, for 3 generations, you carry 3 generations of your ancestors through the womb within your body. You're connected to everybody that has gone through, say, your mother's womb, your grandmother's womb, and so forth. And there is this theory that what happens to one cell will immediately affect another. Now, it
Mm.
may be the exact same or something very similar. So when you have a change within yourself, that change then ripples out to everybody that you are connected to through
Mhm.
that womb. But then there's also the idea that we are all we're all atoms. So
Mhm.
therefore, in a sense, we all influence each other an atomic level.
A
And
molecular level, yeah.
so when we improve ourselves or when we work on ourselves and when we heal ourselves, we ripple that energy out into the collective and we heal those around us or we heal that strain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about the life cycle of oxygen or H2O, water, and how the same water is evaporated up into the sky and then rains back down again, and it's the same water recycled and filtered, and and that's reflective, I think, of what we are as well. Our atoms, our molecules, are
Mhm.
the parts of us that slough off and become, dust and particles in the ground, and then grow back up as plants and then are eaten and ingested. It's just a never-ending life cycle. We have to be connected. We have to have some sort of butterfly effect. That
most definitely. And even on that water aspect, like you were saying, because we're, 90% water, 70 to 90% water. So think of it like if you energetically shift because you have healed something within you, that goes off, evaporates, becomes part of the atmosphere, and then falls down as rain. And water can be programmed. So now the rain that's falling, you have influenced that rainfall with a little bit of programming that includes healing.
Yeah, absolutely. As you were talking, all I can think of is that song, Here Comes the Rain Again, washing over me like a new emotion. Is it raining with you? That's all I can think of. What's next on the burner for Marie? What do you have going on? What can your fans, what can the viewers, what can the readers look forward to coming from you next?
Well, I've got a couple more coloring children's books coming out. I'll keep those titles secret, but I am currently working on illustrating a few covers and editing a few books for different authors like Rick Powell, Black Frost, Martin Hoyle, and so on. So I've got a list of different things because I run a publishing company called I Ain't Your Marionette Press, and I work with you and other people and illustrate, edit, making sure that the books get to where they need to be a beautiful, presentable piece of art that best represents the artist or the author. And so basically that's it. So I've got my fingers in many cookie jars, I guess you could say, doing a bunch of different things. And I also have some children's books as well as maybe a couple of poetry books coming out sometime soon, but I'll just keep the cookie jar lid closed on those ones and make the audience wait in anticipation for that to drop.
Awesome. Well, before we get out of here, be sure to tell everyone where we can get Miss Sally Ann from. I'm certain it's on Amazon.
Yes, actually, Miss Sally Ann is available through approximately 40,000 different places online, as well and in places including Barnes and Noble, a couple places in Japan and Korea, and then of course Amazon.
Awesome. So be sure to check out your favorite online bookstore where books are sold online and grab you a copy of Miss Sally Ann. Leave Marie a comment. This would make a great gift, especially if you have a young artist in your life who loves to color and also use a great story with a great moral. So be sure to grab a copy of Miss Sally Ann from Amazon.com. Let us know what you think of it and stay tuned for more to come from not only Miss Marie Moldovan, but other authors that we have represented through Cosmic Creation Station Agency who will be published very soon from I Ain't Your Marionette. In the meantime, in between time, goodbye, crazy babies.
Bye.
All right, crazy babies, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed interviewing today's author. And I also want to leave you with a few recommendations of some other great talent and some other great books for all you readers out there. Amazon.com is where you can find all of these books. The first is a poetry collection called In the Wind I Stand by Rafiq Ramdani. We also have a beautiful children's book with a wonderful message called Miss Sally Ann that is by the author Marie Moldovan. And then we have a psychological thriller called Vosses on a Morum by the author Martin Hoyle, and that is the first book in a 7-book series called Filet de Bedlam. And last but not least, yours truly. Check out my children's books. There are 2 of them on Amazon.com. One is called Beautiful Boy, and the other is called There's a Me Under My Bed. So I hope you guys go out and grab those books. Let us know what you think. Be sure to leave us a review and enjoy the creativity and the beautiful message from each of the talented authors. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next jam sessions. Bye for now.